The Great Hall was the architectural centerpiece of a medieval castle's interior. It functioned as the social and administrative hub of the castle and its estates, hosting the most important gatherings and decisions. But there is something peculiar about these grand halls that sets them apart from other great rooms in history. What if you could step inside one of these halls today? You might find it surprisingly empty, no chairs, tables, or modern amenities. This is because everyone in medieval times dined and slept here, sharing this vast space communally. As the night fell, families would lay out their bedding, transforming the Great Hall into a sprawling dormitory. So, how did they balance privacy and intimacy within this grand, shared space? That's what we will explore next. Let's picture the scene. Candles and torches flicker, casting long shadows across the high stone walls. The air is filled with the sounds of conversation, laughter, and even the occasional snore. Everyone, from the lord to his servants, gathers here for warmth, security, and companionship. Despite its vast size, the Great Hall was a place of close quarters, both physically and socially. But as night deepens, there comes a need for quiet and intimacy. This is where curtains and partitions come into play. Medieval noble families would use these to create private spaces within the communal hall. Imagine intricately woven tapestries hung from ceiling beams or strategically placed screens to carve out cozy corners for sleep. These were not mere decorations but functional necessities, offering a sense of privacy in an otherwise open and shared space. The care and craftsmanship put into these curtains were significant. Curtain making involved careful measurement and sewing techniques, often incorporating macrame for added texture and detail. The designs could draw inspiration from both local traditions and foreign influences, reflecting the rich cultural exchange of the time. Moreover, curtain care and cleaning methods focused on preserving the fabric's quality and longevity. These weren't just for show, they were integral to daily life. The ability to create a private space within this large communal area was crucial for both practical reasons and maintaining social hierarchy. Yet, these partitions didn't just serve a practical purpose, they also played a role in maintaining the hierarchical order within the castle. The lord and his family would have their own designated areas, often adorned with more lavish curtains or tapestries, signifying their status. Meanwhile, servants and lower-ranking members might share simpler quarters further from the main hearth. Even within these private spaces, there was a sense of connection to the wider community. A soft murmur, a child's giggle, or even the distant clanking of pots from the kitchen might filter through, reminding everyone that they were part of something larger and interconnected. But as dawn breaks, the Great Hall transforms once again. Bedding is folded away, curtains are taken down, and the hall returns to its original grandeur, ready for another day's activities. This daily ritual of sharing and dividing space highlights the unique balance medieval families struck between communal living and the need for privacy and intimacy. In a time when walls were rare, curtains offered not just physical division but also a psychological sense of sanctuary within the vastness of the Great Hall. As we delve deeper into medieval life, we'll see how this delicate balance between community and privacy played out in other aspects of castle living. Before we begin, a small request. Most of the people listening tonight aren't subscribed. If this channel has ever helped you drift off, take a moment to subscribe. It's free. It helps this channel more than you'd think, and you can always change your mind later. And if you feel like it, leave a comment telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I love reading them. One more thing before we begin. I'm also a co-founder of a sleep app, built to be the most affordable one out there. No ads, ever. Just sounds and stories made to help you sleep. It may not be released yet as this video goes up, but if you're watching a little later, it might be out by now. Just search for it. It should be easy to find. It works on iPhone, Android, and everything in between. Downloading it is the best way to support this channel. In the grandeur of medieval castles, the Great Hall stood as a testament to communal life. By day, it bustled with activity. By night, it transformed into a sprawling sanctuary for sleep. Within this vast space, European aristocratic families practiced an intriguing tradition: bed sharing. This custom spanned from the 5th century all the way through to the 15th, becoming a hallmark of medieval noble households. Imagine the grandeur of the Great Hall as it filled with the soft glow of candlelight and the murmurs of its inhabitants settling in for the night. Servants and retainers would position themselves near their masters' beds, creating a protective barrier around the noble family. But why were these arrangements necessary? The high cost of beds in medieval times made them prized possessions, even among the wealthy. In fact, beds were often singular possessions within households, regardless of their wealth. This scarcity meant that even in the grandeur of a noble home, space was at a premium. To understand this dynamic better, consider the bed itself, an intricate piece of craftsmanship that signified wealth and status. Intricate carvings adorned the bed frames of the wealthy, marking them as prized possessions. These elaborate platforms were not just places to rest, they were symbols of power and privilege. And in the communal setting of the Great Hall, they created a delicate balance between intimacy and necessity. As the night deepened, the Great Hall would fill with the rhythmic breathing of its inhabitants. Each person cocooned within their own little world, yet still connected to the broader community. This arrangement set the stage for a unique challenge: how to create private spaces within a shared environment. As we'll see, curtains and partitions played a crucial role in addressing this need. It was where the lord and his family lived, where they dined, slept, and conducted their daily affairs. Despite its communal nature, creating private spaces within this shared environment was a necessity. One of the primary tools for achieving this balance of intimacy within shared living areas were curtains. Medieval curtains often served as decorative elements, adorned with intricate patterns and family crests. These curtains were not just for aesthetic purposes, but also to provide a sense of privacy within the communal spaces. In an era before modern notions of individual privacy, these partitions offered a way to create intimate areas. As the night fell in the Great Hall, curtains could be drawn to define small sanctuaries for sleep. And as dawn broke, they could be opened once more, ready to serve another day in the ever-changing dynamics of medieval life. Curtains were more than just fabric hung over windows. They were vital elements in the delicate balance of communal and private life. Curtains in the medieval era were often used to separate living spaces within a larger communal area, such as a great hall. In particular, Nottingham lace curtains are known for their intricate designs and durability. These curtains were not just decorative elements. They played a crucial role in creating intimate spaces within the grandeur of the Great Hall. In an era where communal living was the norm, these partitions allowed for moments of privacy and personal connection. The skillful weaving techniques used to craft Nottingham lace curtains showcased the craftsmanship of medieval artisans. Beds were treated as communal areas for bonding, hospitality, and sometimes political purposes in medieval times. The design principles of medieval castles have influenced modern home architecture, particularly in the organization of public and private spaces. Intricate weaving techniques were employed in creating Nottingham lace curtains, showcasing the skill of medieval craftsmen. The use of curtains helped define separate living spaces within large communal areas like great halls, balancing defense with daily function. To maintain some semblance of privacy within these shared spaces, curtains became an essential feature in medieval great halls. These were not merely decorative, they served a practical purpose, creating intimate zones within the expansive communal areas. Practical needs for warmth, efficient use of space, and social norms all contributed to these practices. Despite the shared sleeping arrangements, there was a clear hierarchy within the hall. Lower-ranking family members and servants often shared simpler wooden platforms, or slept in close proximity. Curtains became crucial in this setup, providing a measure of privacy and personal space. They allowed families to divide the Great Hall into smaller, more intimate zones without compromising the overall security. The use of drapery for both privacy and decoration dates back to ancient times, but became more prevalent in the medieval era. As these families adapted to the practicalities of shared living, they found creative ways to balance intimacy with the necessity of communal spaces. Curtains were not just a luxury, they were a necessity for maintaining a degree of privacy within shared sleeping spaces. Beyond the mere function of keeping warm, luxurious bedding in medieval castles served as a powerful display of social status. The quality and lavishness of one's linens were direct reflections of their wealth and standing in the noble hierarchy. Intricate embroidery, fine fabrics, and elaborate designs were not merely ornamental, they were badges of prestige. The more luxurious the bedding, the higher the noble's perceived status within the court. Beds themselves were often carved from precious woods and adorned with intricate carvings, further signifying wealth and importance. These luxurious linens and bed frames served as constant reminders to all who entered the great hall of the noble's elevated position. And just like these grand beds, curtains and partitions were essential tools in creating private spaces that further emphasized the noble's wealth and status. The use of curtains in private spaces was another way to showcase one's prominence, illustrating how every aspect of medieval life was intertwined with the display of power and prestige. In these grand halls, even the most intimate moments were stage-managed to project an image of unmatched opulence. While the Great Hall served as a grand stage for displaying wealth and power, it was also where noble families retired each night. The sleeping customs of medieval nobility were far removed from our modern ideas of privacy and comfort. Children often slept on truckle beds, small frames that could be pushed underneath the main bed frame, a practical solution to maximize space in crowded halls. These beds were simple wooden platforms, lacking the plush mattresses and memory foam we take for granted today. Nobles used thick bedding layers to keep warm during harsh winter nights. Bed sharing among nobility was common, with families, servants, and even guests sharing the same sleeping space. This practice had its benefits, such as promoting bonding and providing warmth. However, there were significant health and safety concerns associated with bed sharing. Overlaying, where an adult unknowingly rolls onto a child, posed a real risk. Accidental suffocation was also a worry. In crowded beds, it was easy for infants or young children to become trapped beneath blankets or pressed against adults, leading to dangerous situations. To mitigate these risks, custom-made curtains could be employed to create partitioned areas within the Great Hall, offering a degree of privacy and safety for smaller children or more vulnerable family members. These partitions allowed families to balance intimacy with practicality, providing some separation within the communal living space. It was a clever solution to the challenges of shared sleeping areas. The layout of these castles reveals sophisticated approaches to spatial organization that influenced residential architecture even today. For example, the room evolved over time to become a grand space for banquets and courts. This evolution demonstrates how medieval castle floor plans were not merely defensive structures, but also thoughtfully designed to accommodate both public and private needs. Curtains and partitions played a crucial role in this evolution, allowing families to create intimate spaces for sleep within the communal great halls. For instance, the outermost layer's defensive walls and towers reflect a deep concern for security, while the inner layers showcase a growing need for comfortable living conditions. This evolution of sleeping spaces in medieval castles over time is a testament to the ingenuity of those who designed and lived within these structures. To understand the sleep architecture of medieval castles, let's delve into their detailed floor plans. These surviving blueprints offer a glimpse into how medieval noble families used curtains and partitions to create private spaces for sleep within communal great halls. This vertical arrangement also included sleeping spaces, with private rooms allocated to nobility. These upper-floor chambers offered more than just a place to rest. They symbolized the occupant's social standing within the castle hierarchy. Meanwhile, the ground floors were dedicated to service areas and storage rooms, keeping daily activities separate from the more formal spaces above. This separation allowed for a balance between communal living and private retreats. These curtains not only provided privacy, but also acted as insulators against drafts, creating a cozy environment for sleep in the often harsh medieval winters. Thus, sleep architecture in medieval castles was not merely about providing beds, but also about crafting private sanctuaries within a communal setting. It speaks to the importance of rest and personal space, even amidst shared living areas. Beyond just providing beds, sleep textiles in medieval noble families were about crafting intimate sanctuaries within communal settings. The types of fabrics chosen for these textiles were crucial in creating both intimacy and luxury. Medieval noble families often used linen for their bedding and curtains. Linens were not only comfortable but also signified wealth and status due to their labor-intensive production process. Silk was another material favored by the nobility for its sheer opulence and rarity. The intricate dyeing processes used in these fabrics added another layer of luxury to the sleep spaces. For instance, dyes made from plants like indigo and madder root created vibrant hues that were prized for their richness. The significance of these fabrics went beyond just aesthetics. They created a sense of intimacy and personal space within the communal setting. Wool was also used, particularly for its warmth and insulating properties. These textiles not only provided comfort, but also a sense of privacy and personal identity within the larger communal areas. In this way, sleep textiles played a pivotal role in defining intimate spaces within the grandeur of medieval great halls. By carefully selecting and crafting these fabrics, noble families could carve out private sanctuaries even within the heart of communal living areas. This practice underscores how much value was placed on both rest and personal space, even in the midst of shared living. Medieval noble families, despite sharing communal spaces like the Great Hall, sought ways to enhance comfort and create personalized sleeping areas. Among their essential sleep accessories were pillows, blankets, and mattresses. Pillows in medieval times weren't just for comfort, they often served as a symbol of wealth and status. Nobles used elaborately crafted pillows, sometimes filled with expensive materials like feathers or down, to signify their high social position. Blankets, too, were a mark of luxury, often adorned with intricate patterns and designs that reflected the family's lineage or coat of arms. These blankets not only provided warmth, but also showcased the noble family's heritage. Mattresses, though far less plush than our modern ones, were still a sign of affluence. Nobles used mattresses filled with soft materials like straw or wool to provide a more comfortable sleeping surface. In addition to these basic comforts, nobles also employed nightcaps and other personal items to enhance their sleep experience. Nightcaps were common, particularly in colder regions, to retain heat while sleeping. Personalized bed linens, often custom-made with family crests or initials, added a layer of intimacy and individuality within the shared living space. Medieval castle floor plans were not just about defense. They also reflected a social hierarchy visible in every corner. For the nobles, private chambers on upper floors were reserved. In contrast, servants often slept on straw pallets in the Great Hall or near their masters' beds. The practice of sharing beds was common among nobility, but it wasn't random. There were specific rules and etiquette involved. Even within these shared spaces, privacy was a privilege reserved for the higher social classes. Curtains and partitions were used to create private sleeping areas within the Great Hall, adding a layer of intimacy and personalization. These curtained spaces allowed nobles to retreat from communal life for more intimate moments with their families or partners. For knights and their wives, separate sleeping quarters were often provided, but still within close proximity to their lord's chambers. The design of these spaces reflected a delicate balance between intimacy and the necessity of shared living areas. Baths were rare luxuries, taken infrequently and often shared among family members. Fresh linens, however, were a different matter. Changing bed linens was a regular ritual, ensuring that the noble family slept in clean surroundings. Servants played a vital role in this process, dutifully stripping beds of their worn linens and replacing them with fresh ones. The importance of clean bedding cannot be overstated. Medieval Europeans often shared beds with multiple family members and servants. This practice meant that maintaining hygiene was not just a matter of personal comfort, but also of health and safety. The need for clean bedding drove the use of curtains within great halls. These fabric partitions created private spaces where nobles could retreat for sleep. And so, the simple act of changing bed linens underscored the practical necessity behind creating private sleeping areas within the communal great halls. Heraldry in medieval times was not merely a visual language, but an intricate system of symbolism that communicated lineage, allegiance, and achievements. Coats of arms adorned shields, banners, and even textiles, serving as insignia for noble families. Within the great halls, where nobles often slept communally, curtains bearing heraldic motifs signaled the identity and rank of the bed's occupant. These symbols served as a form of visual announcement, making it clear to all who the bed belonged to and what their status was within the household. Historical accounts describe bed curtains emblazoned with lions, eagles, and other heraldic creatures, each symbolizing a specific lineage or achievement. For instance, the Lion of England was not only a royal emblem, but also conveyed the ferocity and bravery associated with that family's line. Notable artifacts from medieval castles showcase these intricate designs. A fragment of a bed curtain excavated in a high-status household reveals a meticulously woven coat of arms, complete with the family's motto inscribed below it. The care and precision taken to create these textiles underscore the importance placed on such symbols within noble society. They were not just decorative elements, but essential markers of identity that asserted a family's prominence within the communal space. Curtains, adorned with these emblems, transformed a shared sleeping area into a personal sanctuary, signifying ownership and status. It was a subtle yet powerful way to communicate one's place within the household hierarchy without disrupting the communal nature of the Grey Hall. And so, these humble textiles became instruments of power and prestige, silently proclaiming the owner's status even amidst the bustle of a great hall. This practice of using heraldry on bed curtains highlights how medieval noble families managed to balance intimacy and privacy within their shared living spaces, all while maintaining the grandeur and order of their great halls. Amid the grandeur and order of medieval great halls, practical considerations were paramount in creating comfortable sleep spaces for noble families during harsh winters. With curtained partitions defining intimate areas within these shared living spaces, innovative methods were employed to keep warmth and insulation at their peak. One crucial aspect was the use of furs for bedding. Furs provided excellent insulation against the cold winter drafts. They not only trapped heat but also added a layer of luxury befitting noble status. These furs could be sourced from various animals, each offering unique qualities. Bear and wolf pelts, for instance, were prized for their dense fur that retained heat effectively. Heated bricks were another ingenious method used to maintain warmth within these sleep areas. Bricks would be heated in a fireplace or on a hearth before being wrapped in cloth or placed inside a metal container with handles. These hot bricks could then be strategically positioned around the bed, providing a steady and radiant source of heat throughout the night. Tapestries also played a significant role in insulating these sleep spaces. Not only did they serve as beautiful decorative elements, but their thick material acted as an additional barrier against cold drafts. These tapestries often depicted intricate patterns or scenes that further enhanced the opulence and intimacy of the sleeping area. Architectural features within the great halls themselves contributed to the overall warmth and comfort of these partitioned sleep spaces. Large fireplaces were strategically placed to disperse heat evenly throughout the hall, while thick stone walls retained heat, creating a naturally warm environment for those tucked behind their curtained partitions. Historical accounts describe noble families huddling together under their bed curtains during cold nights, benefiting from both the body heat of their companions and the various insulating methods employed. This combination of furs, heated bricks, tapestries, and thoughtful architectural design illustrates the practical considerations and innovations that made these curtained sleep spaces effective and desirable. As the night deepened and the temperature dropped, the noble families could retreat to their warm, insulated sanctuaries within the grandeur of the Great Hall, balancing intimacy with the necessities of shared living areas. This delicate balance highlights the ingenuity and luxury that defined the sleep spaces of medieval nobility during cold winter nights. The use of curtains not only partitioned these intimate spaces, but also provided an additional layer of insulation against drafts, creating a cozy and protected environment for sleep. Religious beliefs and practices played a significant role in shaping the layout and use of great halls, including where and how people slept. In medieval Europe, Christianity was the dominant faith, and religious rituals often required communal participation. For instance, nightly prayers and morning masses necessitated that family members be close to one another within the Great Hall. This communal aspect of religious life could have contributed to the prevalence of shared sleeping spaces. However, within these communal areas, curtains served as a practical and symbolic means of creating private spaces for intimate moments like sleep. The use of curtains in religious contexts can be traced back to ancient traditions, where they were employed to partition sacred spaces within temples and churches. Medieval tapestries often depicted scenes from Christian stories and myths, further emphasizing the spiritual significance of these partitions. Artifacts from the period show that curtains in great halls were adorned with religious motifs and symbols, reflecting the spiritual lives of the inhabitants. These decorations served as a reminder of divine presence and guidance, even in the most intimate moments of daily life. For nobility, the ability to retreat behind these curtains for sleep might have offered not only physical comfort, but also spiritual solace and reflection. The practice of using curtains to define private spaces within the Great Hall thus became deeply intertwined with religious beliefs and practices. This insight into the cultural and spiritual motivations behind creating intimate sleeping areas in medieval great halls reveals how religion shaped daily life and architecture of the time. In the heart of medieval castles, curtains played a significant role beyond mere decoration. They were symbols of wealth and status, meticulously designed to reflect the prestige of noble families. Madras cotton lace curtains were a common choice among the elite, their intricate patterns weaving tales of power and lineage. Beyond their aesthetic value, these curtains served as a means of privacy in communal spaces such as the Great Hall. They not only created private spaces for sleep, but also served as a display of wealth and prestige. Thus, the careful choice of curtain patterns and symbols conveyed more than just personal taste. They signified status and power within medieval noble families. In a world where displays of opulence were limited to those with the means to afford them, these curtains became a subtle yet powerful statement of nobility. In the grandeur of a medieval great hall, where displays of opulence were reserved for the privileged few, specialized bedding was crafted to cater to specific needs within noble households. For expectant mothers, these sleeping quarters required particular adjustments to ensure comfort and safety during pregnancy and childbirth. Bedding was designed with softer, more supportive materials to accommodate the changing body of a pregnant woman. Curtains were strategically placed around these sleeping areas to provide privacy and a sense of intimacy during labor and delivery. These partitions not only shielded the expectant mother from prying eyes, but also created a sanctuary where she could feel at ease amidst the bustling activities of the Great Hall. It is believed that midwives and family members would gather behind these curtains, offering support and assistance during childbirth. While the specific practices related to medieval childbirth are less documented, it is clear that the need for intimacy and comfort adapted sleeping arrangements within the Great Hall. This balance between shared communal spaces and private intimacy reflects the duality of medieval life, the grandeur of the castle juxtaposed with the personal, intimate moments it housed. In a world where opulence and necessity coexisted, these specialized sleeping quarters stood as testaments to the importance of comfort and privacy in even the grandest of settings. As we delve deeper into the intricate arrangements of medieval life, we find that every aspect, from decor to sleeping quarters, was meticulously designed to serve both practical needs and lofty ideals. This attention to detail not only enhanced the living experience, but also underscored the significance of each individual within the grand tapestry of medieval society. And so, within the vast expanse of a great hall, these specialized sleeping quarters offered more than just a place to rest. They provided a sanctuary where life's most intimate moments could unfold with comfort and dignity. For the nobles who occupied these grand spaces, health and well-being were of utmost importance. Within their sleeping areas, various nocturnal health practices were employed to ensure a good night's rest and overall vitality. One common practice involved the use of herbal remedies, carefully selected for their therapeutic properties. Nobles would often place small pouches filled with fragrant herbs under their pillows or near their beds. These herbs not only created a soothing aroma, but also had medicinal benefits, such as promoting relaxation and preventing illnesses like colds or flu. Another popular method for maintaining health was the use of warm stones placed beneath bedsheets or within bedding materials. These heated stones served as a form of heat therapy, helping to alleviate muscle tension and provide comfort during cold winter nights. In addition to these physical remedies, nobles also followed various rituals aimed at promoting overall well-being and spiritual health. For instance, it was believed that sleeping in a clean and well-aired environment could ward off illnesses and promote peaceful dreams. This emphasis on hygiene and purity extended to the use of fresh linens and the regular airing out of sleeping areas. These nocturnal health practices not only served their intended purposes, but also transformed these sleeping spaces into multifunctional sanctuaries that catered to both physical and spiritual needs. Thus, the Great Hall sleeping areas were more than just places of rest. They embodied a holistic approach to health and well-being that was deeply ingrained in medieval noble culture. As the night wore on, these spaces became havens where nobles could rejuvenate their bodies and spirits, preparing them for the challenges and responsibilities of the day ahead. In these quiet moments of reflection and self-care, the noble families could find solace and fortitude to face the complexities of their world. And so, within the expansive great halls of medieval castles, these specialized sleeping quarters not only provided a sanctuary for rest, but also nurtured the well-being of those who resided there. During banquets, for instance, curtains were often drawn to define separate dining areas, allowing nobility and their guests to enjoy more private conversations. The heavy fabrics muffled noise, creating a sense of intimacy despite the shared space. For weddings and other ceremonial events, curtains could be used to create a more formal atmosphere. They might be adorned with intricate embroidery or coats of arms, enhancing the grandeur of the occasion. In some cases, curtains were also used to conceal less dignified activities, such as food preparation and service areas, from the view of guests. This allowed for a seamless presentation of opulence without detracting from the festive ambiance. The strategic placement and use of curtains thus made it possible to host diverse gatherings within a single great hall, each with its own unique atmosphere. This adaptability underscored the flexibility and versatility of great halls as communal spaces, showcasing how curtains were integral to creating distinct environments within these expansive rooms. By the simple act of drawing or removing a curtain, the great hall could be transformed into a space that was either communal and lively or intimate and private. In essence, curtains in medieval great halls served as more than just decorative elements. They were practical tools that shaped the atmosphere and functionality of these crucial communal spaces. Their ability to create intimacy within a shared space made great halls more than just architectural marvels. They were the heart and soul of medieval communal life. Silk, on the other hand, was reserved for the nobility. Its luxurious texture and sheen signified wealth and status, enhancing the intimacy of private moments within these prestigious spaces. The choice of material was significant. Linen provided warmth, silk signified status, wool offered practical insulation, and tapestries told stories that enhanced the atmosphere. These materials reinforced the intimacy within private spaces. They transformed shared areas into cozy retreats where nobles and commoners alike could find moments of solace amidst the grandeur. Within the Great Hall, curtains made from these materials created a sense of exclusivity and comfort, making shared living areas feel intimate and personal. Each choice of fabric was not just functional, but also deeply symbolic, reinforcing the status and warmth within these private enclaves within the Great Hall. Red was a favored color for curtains in medieval noble families' chambers. Its vibrancy signified wealth and power, a bold declaration within the communal space of the Great Hall. Blue curtains were often seen in royal chambers, symbolizing purity and divinity. Green was associated with fertility and renewal, adorning the private spaces of families, hoping to convey vitality and growth. Golden hues were reserved for the most prestigious rooms, their luster signifying royalty and sacred space. Beyond color, intricate motifs and symbols adorned these curtains, further personalizing the private spaces. Coats of arms displayed lineage and allegiance, a tangible connection to one's noble heritage. Mythical creatures and fantastical scenes wove tales of adventure and heroism into the very fabric of these curtains. Religious imagery and sacred symbols imbued these spaces with a sense of divine protection and blessing. Each choice, from color to symbol, was deliberate, transforming a simple curtain into a rich tapestry of meaning. In this way, the private spaces within the Great Hall became not just places of retreat, but also expressions of identity and belief. The symbolism on these curtains further personalized private spaces within communal areas, making each corner of the Great Hall a unique reflection of its inhabitants. Thus, the humble curtain became an instrument of intimate storytelling within the grandeur of a medieval castle. And as the light faded and the Great Hall quieted for the night, these curtains drawn around their private enclaves whispered tales of status, belief, and identity. Beyond the grandeur of the Great Hall, there were spaces where nobles could retreat for more intimate moments. These were alcoves, carved out within the hall's architecture. Alcoves served as small sanctuaries within the larger communal space, offering a measure of privacy. At night, these alcoves were often shielded by richly decorated curtains, enhancing their intimacy. The design of these partitions could reflect the noble's interests or beliefs. For instance, at Winchester Castle, the Great Hall's alcoves were adorned with curtains featuring intricate elven script designs. These decorative touches added layers of personal identity to the space. Beyond mere aesthetic value, these curtains also served functional purposes. Thus, alcoves with their decorative partitions created pockets of tranquility within the busy Great Hall. And as dawn broke and the curtains were drawn back, these intimate spaces would once again blend into the grandeur of the Great Hall. Maintaining these private sleeping areas required careful attention and effort. Medieval noble families understood that preserving their private sanctuaries was crucial for comfort and intimacy. The upkeep of curtains involved meticulous cleaning and repair techniques. Servants, skilled in these tasks, would handle the delicate fabrics with care. One common method was to beat the curtains gently, removing dust without damaging the fabric. This required a steady hand and patience. Repairs were another critical aspect of maintenance. Tears or frayed edges could be mended with fine stitching, restoring the curtain's appearance and functionality. Servants would also store these curtains properly when they weren't in use. This involved rolling them carefully to prevent creases and preserving their quality over time. The lifespan of medieval textiles depended heavily on the materials used and how well they were maintained. High-quality fabrics like Madras cotton lace could last for decades with proper care. Intricate designs, such as those depicting historical events or fantastical stories, added to the value of these textiles, making their preservation even more important. For noble families, investing in such curtains and ensuring their longevity was a symbol of their status and commitment to creating private, comfortable spaces within communal living areas. As the Great Hall returned to its daytime grandeur, these carefully maintained partitions ensured that the intimate spaces could be restored with ease at nightfall. Religious motifs and sacred symbols also played a prominent role in medieval sleep curtains. Crosses, angels, and other devotional imagery were woven into the fabric, providing a spiritual sanctuary within the secular environment of the Great Hall. For example, the curtains from the bedchamber of a 15th-century English nobleman featured intricate depictions of the Annunciation and the Nativity, combining religious veneration with private comfort. These symbols not only defined physical boundaries, but also reinforced social stratification and personal identity within the shared living spaces. Each curtain was a statement, an assertion of one's rank and devotion. The practice of adorning sleep curtains with such symbolism underscored the importance of privacy and intimacy even within communal settings. It was a way for nobles to carve out a personal sanctum amidst the collective life of the Great Hall. As darkness descended and torches flickered, these curtains transformed the vast communal space into a series of intimate retreats, each bearing the unique mark of its inhabitants' status and beliefs. In essence, medieval sleep curtains were more than just fabric. They were a form of visual storytelling that communicated the identity and prestige of those who slept beneath them. So, when the sun set and the Great Hall was reconfigured for the night, each curtain drawn spoke volumes about its owner's lineage, faith, and standing in the realm. The role of servants was crucial in maintaining these curtains. They would inspect each one for signs of wear or damage, and promptly attend to any necessary repairs to ensure the curtains remained in optimal condition. Repairs were often made with careful precision, using techniques that had been passed down through generations. Servants would patch small tears, mend frayed edges, and even replace sections of the fabric if needed. Frequent upkeep ensured that the curtains retained their visual appeal and functionality. This was particularly important in a Great Hall, where every detail reflected the nobility's status and taste. Servants also ensured that the curtains were properly hung and positioned, using rods and pockets to create a seamless separation between living spaces within the larger communal area. High-quality fabrics, careful cleaning, and diligent repairs allowed these curtains to last for generations, continuing to serve their essential role in defining private spaces within the grandeur of the Great Hall. During the scorching summers, lightweight fabrics like linen or cotton were favored for their breathability and ability to let in a refreshing breeze. These delicate curtains would be draped over wooden or stone balustrades that framed the upper galleries of the Great Hall, allowing air to circulate freely and providing a respite from the heat. Conversely, as the cold winter months set in, heavier fabrics such as wool or velvet were employed to insulate the private spaces from drafts and maintain warmth. These thicker materials would be carefully secured with ties or hooks, creating a cozy and protected sanctuary within the expansive hall. Regional climates also played a crucial role in determining the type of fabric used. In the chillier regions of Northern Europe, for instance, warmer fabrics like wool were almost always preferred. In contrast, areas with milder winters might rely more heavily on cotton or linen curtains throughout the year. Additionally, design elements like pleats and tucks were incorporated to facilitate airflow during warmer periods while trapping heat during colder months. Thus, the thoughtful planning behind medieval sleep curtain designs ensured that private spaces within the Great Hall were optimized for comfort and privacy across the variable weather conditions of the seasons. One of their clever strategies involved the use of curtains, which could be drawn across sections of the Great Hall to provide a sense of seclusion. As the day drew to a close and the hall began to fill with the soft murmurs of evening conversations, the ritual of dressing for bed would commence. For the nobles, nightclothes were not merely garments for sleep, but tools designed to enhance their sense of personal space and comfort within shared living areas. These nightclothes were often made from luxurious fabrics, such as silk or linen, providing both warmth and a subtle elegance that set them apart from daytime attire. The act of changing into these special garments marked the transition from communal daytime activities to the more intimate realm of the night. As they donned their nightclothes, the nobles were creating a boundary, not just physical, but also psychological, that separated them from the shared space of the hall. This simple act of dressing for bed was a powerful statement of personal identity and the desire for privacy within an otherwise communal environment. Nightclothes also played a crucial role in maintaining a sense of decency and modesty, essential elements of medieval etiquette that extended to sleeping arrangements. As the nobles settled into their beds, clad in their nightclothes, they found themselves cocooned in a private world of their own making within the vast expanse of the Great Hall. This combination of privacy and comfort was key to enhancing the overall sleep experience in an era where shared spaces were the norm. Thus, medieval sleeping practices not only provided warmth and rest, but also served as a subtle means of asserting personal space and privacy within the grandeur of the Great Hall. In the sprawling expanse of a medieval Great Hall, every detail held significance. Among these was the artistry of curtains and partitions, which served as more than mere decorations. These textiles were integral to carving out intimate spaces within the grandeur of communal living areas. The manufacturing processes behind these fabrics were intricate and revealing of the era's craftsmanship and skill. Curtain rods and pockets were utilized to ensure that these finely woven textiles could be hung with ease. This was a testament to the attention to detail that went into their design, making them both functional and aesthetically pleasing. Dyeing techniques were another area where medieval artisans demonstrated remarkable skill. The vibrant colors seen in these curtains were not merely decorative, they were the result of careful craftsmanship and knowledge of natural pigments. The crafting of these curtains required the work of skilled artisans who poured their expertise into each piece. The result was not just a fabric, but a statement of wealth, taste, and sophistication within the medieval noble household. As night fell and the hall grew quiet, these artfully crafted curtains served as both functional partitions and symbolic representations of the refinement and status of their owners. They were more than just fabric. They told a story of medieval elegance and craftsmanship. Thus, within the grandeur of the Great Hall, these curtains represented not only a practical solution for privacy, but also an exquisite display of medieval artistry and skill. The manufacturing processes behind them were as fascinating as the textiles themselves, offering a glimpse into the world of medieval craftsmanship. The intricate and ornate lace curtains of medieval times were not merely decorative adornments, but also served as symbols of wealth and status in royal processions. These ceremonies were grand spectacles that showcased the opulence and power of noble families. In these events, nobles would parade through the streets, their carriages and horses adorned with lavish textiles and drapery. The curtains, with their delicate patterns and fine materials, were a visible testament to the family's affluence. The display of such exquisite fabrics was a way for noble families to assert their social standing and influence within the community. Each elaborate pattern and richly colored thread spoke volumes about their refined taste and substantial resources. But beyond their role in ceremonial pomp, These curtains also served a practical purpose for traveling nobles. The portable nature of these partitions allowed them to create intimate sleep spaces wherever they journeyed. Traveling nobility required accommodations that could be swiftly set up and dismantled, making these versatile textiles invaluable. With a few well-placed drapes, they could transform any space into a cozy sanctuary for rest and relaxation. This dual functionality, both as status symbols in grand ceremonies and practical sleep solutions on the go, demonstrates that these partitions were not just functional, but also symbolic extensions of noble family identity. Through their ornate lace curtains, medieval nobles could convey a sense of luxury and status, while also ensuring comfort and intimacy wherever they went. The art and symbolism of medieval curtains were not merely functional, but also deeply rich with historical narratives and social significance. Common motifs found on these lace curtains included coats of arms, family crests, and intricate patterns that reflected regional variations in symbolism. The design of these curtains often varied based on the region, with different motifs holding specific cultural meanings. For instance, in certain regions of England, the use of specific plant patterns could signify strength and resilience. These regional variations extended beyond simple ornamentation. They also carried historical significance. The choice of a particular pattern might represent an alliance between two noble families, a connection that was proudly displayed on the curtains. In some instances, these curtains were adorned with mythological or religious symbols, further enriching their symbolic value. A curtain depicting a dragon might signify bravery and protection in one region, while representing divine wisdom in another. The careful selection of these designs was not merely for aesthetic purposes, but also to tell a story about the family's history and values. Each pattern, each symbol, carried a narrative that spoke volumes about the noble family it represented. Thus, the artistry of these medieval curtains was as much about conveying cultural and historical messages as it was about providing privacy and decorating a space. By examining these curtains, we gain insight into the complex social dynamics of medieval noble families. Their choices in design were deliberate, each detail carrying a deeper meaning that spoke to their legacy and connections. Therefore, these curtains were not just functional items, but also powerful tools of communication, echoing the grandeur and intricate alliances of medieval nobility. To maintain the textiles, conservators use a variety of methods, such as controlled environments with stable humidity and temperature. This prevents the fabrics from degrading over time. However, conserving these delicate materials comes with its own set of challenges. Light exposure, for instance, can cause the vivid colors and intricate patterns to fade. As a result, many museums and historical societies house these curtains in darkened spaces or display them for limited periods of time. This helps to prolong their lifespan and preserve the rich details that tell us about medieval life. Understanding these preservation techniques is vital, as they allow historians to study the craftsmanship and symbolism embedded in these textiles. This knowledge offers insights into the social dynamics and family life of medieval nobility. Despite the challenges, the efforts to preserve these historical artifacts are incredibly rewarding. They offer a tangible connection to the past and illuminate the stories that might otherwise remain hidden. In essence, the enduring value and relevance of these medieval curtains lie in their ability to shed light on the intricate lives of those who once lived in these grand halls. Their preservation is a testament to the importance of understanding our cultural heritage. In the heart of medieval Europe, the Great Hall served as the grand stage for communal living, where nobility and their households gathered to dine, sleep, and conduct affairs. To balance the need for intimacy with the reality of shared spaces, medieval noble families employed intricate craftsmanship to create private areas within these vast halls. The craftsmanship involved in creating these curtains highlighted the importance of privacy and status within medieval society. By employing skilled artisans to create intricately designed drapes, noble families could enhance their living spaces with a sense of elegance and intimacy that was both functional and visually appealing. As you imagine the great hall filled with the soft glow of candles and the murmur of conversation, these carefully crafted curtains played a crucial role in creating an atmosphere that balanced communal living with personal comfort and dignity. Their presence served as a reminder of the sophisticated ways medieval nobility navigated the complexities of shared spaces. To ensure the safety of their families, medieval nobility employed intricate security measures within their castles. One of the key elements of these measures was the strategic use of curtains and partitions to create private spaces within communal great halls. These curtains were not merely decorative, they served as vital components of the castle's defense strategy. Curtain rods and pockets were carefully constructed to ensure that the curtains could be quickly drawn shut in case of an emergency. The strategic placement of these curtains within the Great Hall allowed families to quickly retreat behind a barrier that provided a degree of safety. In addition to the ease of closing, these curtains were often reinforced with thicker fabrics and additional layers to provide better protection. Balconies and outdoor areas within castles were similarly adorned with curtains that could be drawn for protection against potential threats. These curtains not only served to protect the inhabitants, but also acted as a visual deterrent, signaling that the castle was well guarded. The design and placement of these curtains were thus influenced by considerations of security, ensuring that the noble families could sleep soundly, knowing they had a layer of protection. This intricate balance between communal living and personal security was a hallmark of medieval castle design. This harmonious blend of communal spaces and private sanctuaries showcased the ingenuity of medieval architects in creating environments that were both welcoming and secure. The Madras cotton lace curtains of the time were not just decorative, they bore intricate patterns that recounted tales of knights and kingdoms. Take, for instance, the curtain woven with the tale of King Arthur's quest for the Holy Grail. This particular piece was prized by the noble family of Earlsholm, who believed it held magical properties that would bless their lineage with courage and honor. The legend states that the original thread for this curtain was spun from the very silk of the dragon slain by Sir Lancelot. Each time a new generation of Earlsholms unfurled this tapestry at night, it was not just a bedtime routine, but an act of reverence and continuity. Similarly, the coat of arms depicted on the curtains of the Lancaster family was more than a symbol of lineage. It was a story in itself. The red rose emblazoned on their curtains told the tale of their ancestors' valiant stand against the Yorkists during the Wars of the Roses. These curtains were more than just decor. They were historical records and family legacies that could inspire young nobles to embody the virtues of their forebears. The practice of passing down these sleep curtains as heirlooms highlights the enduring value and cultural importance they held within noble families. In a time before books were commonplace, these textiles served as tangible links to the past, preserving history and heritage in every weave. Thus, when the noble family retired for the night, they not only entered a private sanctuary, but also immersed themselves in the rich narrative of their lineage. The stories woven into these sleep curtains were not mere decorations, but the very threads that bound generations together. In the quiet corridors of medieval castles, another power was at work beyond the architects and builders. Religious orders, with their disciplined rituals and austere lifestyles, exerted a profound influence on the castle's intimate spaces. Monastic practices introduced regular sleep schedules, aligning with the natural rhythms of day and night. The simplicity and routine of monks' bedding found resonance among noble families who adopted these practices into their own grand sleeping quarters. Religious artifacts were often woven into the design of curtains and bedding, serving both as decorative elements and spiritual safeguards. Curtains bearing mystical symbols or invocations of divine protection became commonplace in private chambers. For instance, The Cistercian Abbey of Clairvaux, founded in the 12th century, was renowned for its strict observance of nocturnal devotions. These spiritual practices were gradually adopted into castle life, creating sanctuaries of tranquility within the bustling communal spaces. The Abbaye aux Holmes in Caen, a Benedictine monastery, is one example of a religious community that profoundly influenced castle architecture. Its layout emphasized the balance between public and private spaces, reflecting the monastic ideal of solitude within community. In this way, religious orders not only shaped the architectural design, but also the daily rhythms and intimate rituals of medieval noble families. During grand feasts and meetings, curtains would be drawn to separate dining areas from the main hall, allowing nobility to enjoy more intimate conversations while still being part of the larger event. These fabric barriers were not merely decorative, they served as practical dividers that adapted to the multifunctional nature of the Great Hall. During ceremonies and important gatherings, curtains could be used to create a sense of exclusivity, signifying that only those behind the curtain were part of the inner circle. The hierarchy of space allocation was often based on social status and the importance of the event. For instance, the lord and his closest advisors might retire behind a curtain after a feast to discuss matters of state, while lower-ranking guests remained in the main hall. This multifunctional use of curtains underscores their significance in medieval sleep practices, highlighting how they helped create intimate spaces that adapted to various social needs within the communal Great Hall. Beyond their practical use, these fabric dividers also carried symbolic weight, often featuring intricate patterns or family crests that further emphasized the social status and prestige of those behind them. Thus, within these grand communal spaces, curtains played a pivotal role in shaping the social landscape, offering both intimacy and seclusion while adhering to the necessity of shared living areas. This balance between communal life and personalized spaces reveals a deeper understanding of the intricate social hierarchies that governed daily existence in medieval noble families. And so, the humble curtain within the Great Hall emerged as a powerful tool, not just for privacy, but also for subtly signaling social standing and event importance. In medieval Europe, curtains were not just functional elements to keep out drafts, they were powerful symbols of status and lineage. Fabrics for these curtains were often imported from distant lands, signaling a family's wealth and global trade connections. These heraldic symbols were not merely decorative, they carried significant meaning within the noble class. They signified a family's history, allegiances, and social standing, all proudly displayed for those who entered the Great Hall. The craftsmanship required to create such elaborate designs was itself a statement of wealth and refinement. Each stitch, each carefully chosen color told a story of the family's lineage and accomplishments. In this way, curtains served as silent narrators, recounting the family's tale without uttering a word. Their presence in the Great Hall was not just aesthetic, it was a strategic declaration of heritage and status. While the grandeur of the Great Hall was undeniable, it also served as a communal space where nobility sought to carve out intimate spaces for themselves. The use of decorative motifs on these curtains was not merely ornamental, it was a strategic declaration of heritage and status. Heraldic symbols adorned many of these curtains, serving as visual representations of family history and lineage. Religious imagery was also a common motif, reflecting the deeply held beliefs and spiritual allegiances of the nobility. Nature-inspired designs, such as depictions of mythical creatures and lush landscapes, further personalized these sleeping spaces. The artisans and craftsmen behind these curtains were highly skilled, often commissioned by the nobility to create unique and meaningful pieces. Each curtain was a testament to the family's story, woven with intricate details that conveyed their identity and prestige. In the sprawling great halls of medieval castles, where communal activities like dining and sleeping took place under one vast roof, the art of managing private spaces was a delicate dance. Curtains played a pivotal role in this choreography of intimacy and privacy. They were not merely aesthetic adornments, but strategic tools used by noble families to create intimate sanctuaries within the communal area. The use of tapestries and hangings, often intricately designed with family crests or mythical scenes, served to divide the Great Hall into more manageable living spaces. These partitions not only provided a sense of privacy, but also added layers of warmth and insulation against the cold drafts that could sweep through the expansive halls. In castles like Winchester, where the Great Hall is a marvel of medieval architecture, curtains were often employed to section off different sleeping areas for various members of the household. This strategy allowed for efficient use of space and ensured that each family member or guest had a comfortable and private area in which to rest. As you picture the grandeur and complexity of these medieval castles, imagine the comforting embrace of a warm curtain on a cold night, drawing a line between public and private life within the same expansive space. In essence, curtains were more than just fabrics hung to define spaces. They were instruments that shaped the rhythm of medieval castle life, harmonizing the needs for privacy and communal living. And as you drift off to sleep in your own warm sanctuary within the Great Hall, remember that each curtain was a testament to the ingenuity and artistry of medieval nobility. One of the key design elements that enhanced the functionality of these curtains was the use of tabs, ties, and hooks. These features allowed the curtains to be securely fastened around bed frames or along partition walls, creating intimate spaces within the larger communal area. The tabs and ties provided a simple yet effective way to ensure that curtains stayed in place, minimizing any chance of them being disturbed by drafts or curious onlookers. Hooks, meanwhile, offered a more permanent solution for securing curtains, especially useful in areas where frequent adjustments were not needed. Perhaps you might hear the gentle rustling of fabric as a slight breeze passes through the hall, a reminder of the soft boundary that separates your restful space from the wider communal area. And as you settle into sleep, remember that each curtain was meticulously crafted to enhance not just the aesthetic, but also the practical functionality of these spaces. For in the grandeur and complexity of a medieval castle, even something as simple as a curtain could serve profoundly significant purposes, creating intimate sanctuaries within vast communal spaces. And so, the humble curtain stands as a silent witness to the medieval nobility's quest for both privacy and community, all within the grandeur of the Great Hall.